Well, thank you, Erin, for coming by and visiting with us for a while. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about Moreau, New York, because this old boy lives down in Corpus Christi, Texas, and there ain't a whole lot of commonality between us except for the fact that we're both Americans and we both are concerned about our society and our community.
So if you're looking at a map in your mind of New York,
Right.
the whole state of New York, it has kind of a vertical and it has a horizontal. I live above where the vertical and the horizontal meet, about an hour north of the capital in Albany, about halfway between New York City and Montreal.
That's a lot of beautiful country up there. A lot of people think of New York as tall buildings and taxi cabs, and there's a lot of that in New York City, but there's a whole lot of territory out there in upstate New York, I think they call it.
Yes, upstate. And there's some confusion because some people say upstate and then they say Rochester, which people from Rochester don't mind, but people from actual upstate do mind.
You're right.
We are at the foothills of the Adirondacks, which is a huge mountain range. And around here, it's very rural. 60% of our land is farms and open space here in Moreau.
So, you're running for town council. But you have been involved in your community prior to running
Yes.
for town council.
Well, so on the volunteer side of the resume, if you will,
Right.
I was involved with the NAACP for a long time. I was an officer, actually. I've also been involved with the local Democratic Committee for a few years.
Outstanding.
And I became the chair more recently than that, obviously, of the Democratic Committee. But on the professional side of my resume is also community involvement because I've been working in nonprofit for 20 years. I worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters for a number of years, helping kids to get mentors, basically kids who are at risk, helping make sure that they have extra adults in their life to take an interest in them. And then I went to the Girl Scout Council, which is a leadership program for girls. And I supervised hundreds of volunteers, and I taught adults and children at times there. And now I work for Adirondack Mountain Club, ADK, which is an organization that aims to use recreation to educate people about how to not mess up our green spaces, basically our wild places.
So you've been in a leadership in training others to become leaders in the community. Well, that sounds
right.
Pretty impressive for somebody who wants to be a leader in the community. So, but what made you decide to run for office?
A couple of years ago, we had when I was brand new, green with the Democratic Committee. I was running their social media,
Right.
and there was a discussion about promoting a video that a local teacher had submitted to a contest for the Travelers Insurance Company. So, of course, I watched it before I shared it. And something struck me really hard during that video, and it has stuck with me all this time. The project that they wanted to fund was a closet at the school that has a number of supplies that children might need. Some of them are school type things you would expect, like a backpack or a lunch bag or whatever.
Right.
But then she went on to explain that there are jackets in here and blankets in here and other necessities that don't have anything to do with school because there are children who don't have beds, and that 36% of our students in our school district are below poverty.
Oh, wow.
And I can't let that go. I can't let it go. So I started looking at statistics and looking around at what the issues are, and housing came up as an issue. And I come and I look and I see that 40% of the people who live here cannot afford the lowest rent.
Wow.
30% can't afford the rock bottom lowest rent I could find on a 1-bedroom apartment, let alone a 2-bedroom apartment where you could raise kids. And I just think the answer is not asking the Farmers Insurance Company, though it's very generous of them. We did win that grant, by the way. It's very generous of them, but we can't rely on that as the solution to the problem.
No. And it sounds like housing is a big issue with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
and it's a complicated issue. The way that it came up, there's a moratorium on housing development here. So a whole bunch of apartments were built in a relatively short period of time. And at some point, somebody went, oh, wait a minute, this is tilting the balance of homeowners to renters. And we don't know if we like that. And let's hold off on any more projects. And let's have the public weigh in. And then time went by and they decided they want to extend the moratorium. And in a neighboring town, a trailer park owner decided to sell to a developer. And that means that the people were given a certain amount of time to either come up with a large sum of money or basically they lose their homes.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No.
Because where else can people go who have low income in this town if our rent is so high that the only alternative people have really is like to live in a trailer.
Right.
And that's why there are so many. So it's a big issue because people don't understand when you buy a trailer, it's complicated. They treat it like a car here. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but you literally have to register your house at the DMV.
Really?
And it depreciates. Yeah, and it depreciates like a car. There's a chart you can look at in advance and know how fast your house is going to depreciate. So at the same time you're paying your mortgage, it's going down in value. Unlike a stick-built house where you can say, well, in 20 years, my house will be worth at least what it is now or more.
Right.
That's not the case when you pay off your mobile home.
That puts a whole lot of people in danger.
The interest rate is high on a mobile home, and there's basically no secondary lending.
Right.
So if you try to sell your house before you pay it off, unless somebody has tens of thousands of dollars in cash, they can't get a mortgage because it's a used trailer. I've been told, oh, you shouldn't talk about low-income housing because people don't want to hear about that. I actually published an article on the county's website talking about the difference between the different types of what they call housing, right? So you have affordable housing is a very clearly defined thing. And then there's like market rate apartments. Well, that's a euphemism. All of these terms are euphemisms for middle income targeted housing, which is to say too expensive for a big chunk of people. And the last one, which unfortunately I can't remember the term, I have to go look it up, is offensive because it kind of intimates that if you're not making that much, then you're not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not the case.
That could easily be turned around to tell the employer, you need to pay more to allow people of a living wage. You can't expect things to be well when a person doesn't have the funds to pay for his house and his groceries, the utilities, and all the other things that come with life.
Right, and this is the thing. People will say they should move. I've had people say that they should move. Excuse me,
Really?
The lady who works at Dunkin' Donuts or the lady serving you at McDonald's, how far should she commute to do that?
Yeah. How far out in the woods do you want?
In what car?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people would just soon see them sleep in their car right out in the parking lot and be right back to work. No, it's a serious issue in our country how we maintain a certain standard of living for all of us. We all can't live in the mansion. I don't belong to a country club. A lot of people struggle month to month to pay those bills. And housing is the biggest bill that you're going to have. And if it takes everything you have, then you're stuck with no food, no electricity, or something like that.
Even people who aren't homeless, but who have that instability because they never know if they're going to have enough money, and they end up moving a lot. I was in a situation where I moved a lot, and I forget how many times it was now. I haven't counted it in a while. It was like 22 times in 14 years or something like that. I moved a lot.
Yeah, I can relate.
That means you lose your whole support network.
Yes.
You have to start all over with new friends. You have to find a new job. Everything you have to start over again. Yeah. And especially for people who have kids, that does irreparable damage. I've even taken let's take the bleeding heart part out of it. And let's be, facts and figures about it.
Yeah.
When a kid grows up in the kind of poverty we're talking about, where their parents are working and they're paying the rent and they have nothing else, they don't have a bed and they don't have a backpack and they don't have a coat and they don't have shoes, they don't have a lot of things they need if they don't have a bed, right? If they grow up like that, what happens to them when they get to be an adult? Don't we have more problems with teen pregnancy, drug use, other kinds of social ills that we end up paying for in some other ways? So not only are you raising a child in bad circumstances, but you're going to end up paying for additional policing and locking people up and people
Sure.
not feeling safe in their homes because you have troubled people in your community.
Sure.
Not that that has to be the outcome, but that tends to be the way.
Nobody is born a good citizen. It's within our own community and our own society how we lift people up that produces good citizens for the whole community, indeed the whole nation. If we turn our back on those that are in need, the outcome is not going to be good. It's when we try to lift them up that improves the whole society, which improves everybody's life.
We're also going to, if I have anything to do with it, be smart about where we build it, how we build it. Again, transportation is an issue. We don't have mass transit here. So you have to have a car right now. We have a bus line that comes out of Glens Falls, comes down as far as where I live twice a day, like 8 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. And if that doesn't coincide with your schedule, too bad. Take a taxi, which costs $15 each way. So if we can make it so that it's more convenient, if we can get the bus if we have a population of people that we know need the bus, then the bus will come, right? And that alleviates another thing. But putting it in a good spot where people can walk to the store and walk to the pharmacy and get what they need on foot alleviates another big expense that people have, which is vehicles. And the bus line that we have, as I say, comes out of Glens Falls, which is north of here. Many of the well-paid jobs or the better paying jobs are south of here. And the bus from the south doesn't come this far. So that's another missed opportunity to get people perhaps into a better situation where they have access to different population of jobs to even apply for if we had transportation. So that's just another thing. I think that not only should we build the things smartly, they don't have to be huge. And I don't know if we should go into my own personal experience, but some people don't want to hear about low-income housing because they think it attracts bad things. What I'm saying is 40% of the people who are already here need this. They are already your neighbors, but you don't know that they're sleeping on the floor. You don't know that the kid has shoes with duct tape because you don't know them. You don't know your neighbors the way people used to know them. So when we build the thing, whatever it is, however it gets planned, this is an opportunity to build something that could be a model for everybody, not just for our town, but for the whole country of what could be done. It could be green. It should be done so smartly and so efficiently that other communities look to us as an example of what can be done. I don't see any reason why we can't do that.
I've always lived with a motto up in my head that always tells me, do the right thing, but do the thing right. And that I think basically is what you want to say, that you want to do the right thing, but you have to be reasonable about it. You have to do it the right way. And so, I think that's what you're talking about, is finding a way to provide that housing to solve the transportation problems in the town in a way that benefits everybody. And how could that not be an improvement for your town or any other town?
The other housing issue that we have is that everything that would have once been considered a starter home is now approximately $200,000 or more. So let's say you're renting and you're okay, and maybe you're putting a little bit away, how long does it take for you to save enough to put a down payment on a house? It's going to take forever for you to save a percentage of a high number, not to mention the fact you have to have a high income to qualify for that mortgage. So we need to be looking at, let's rethink the starter home situation. Again, this balances out apartments to home ownership, but that's one of the things that's missing is there's not a starter home to be had. You have trailer. If people with low income want to buy, a trailer is the only option right now.
even getting that first home is a big issue for a lot of people, and indeed the American dream for all of us. And nowadays it seems like that level, the entry into that market is so high that it cuts out a major portion of our fellow citizens. And
Yes.
so that it is, giving affordable housing allows those that are working enough room to be able to live. And I think that's what
Yeah.
Moreau is looking at. You have to be able to provide the housing for the workers that you need to provide the labor to like you say, be the restaurant, the waitress at the restaurant, or the clerk at the store.
And the answer also isn't, well, that lady shouldn't be working at Dunkin', because if she didn't, Dunkin' would close and you'd be mad that you can't get your coffee, right? Every single one of these low paid jobs is a necessity for us to have the quality of life that we want to have. You need somebody in the stewards that we talked about, the steward's shop, making the coffee and taking out the garbage and watching the gas pumps and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't pay a lot of money, but somebody has to do that for the rest of us to have those services. And let's not forget that the food service industry was hit hard by COVID. Those people were considered essential. And so they were still working during the whole pandemic. Plus, those are some of the hardest jobs. You're on your feet all day. It's hot.
Indeed.
You get filthy every single day. The hours are long. You delivery people, you can imagine all the nonsense that delivery people go through.
Oh, yes. I delivered pizzas for a while when I was old. I mean, not that long ago. And, it's rough. Your job isn't just deliver pizzas. You know that big stack of dishes in the back? They want you to wash them, too, while you're not delivering. So you're constantly on the move. So, yeah, it's, it's difficult.
A lot of those environments are just kind of rough anyway. Just difficult environments to work in, and people burn out really quickly. And there's a lot of, I don't want to get into it, but there's tends to be a lot of more like drug use and alcohol use and stuff like that in those industries in the back of the house and stuff. It just burns people right out. So after the pandemic was over, the ones that didn't die or have long haul COVID problems, some of them were like, it's not worth it. I was hardly making any money.
I think we redefined what essential services are. You want somebody there to stock the grocery stores. You want somebody at the window to drive through and get your dinner or a hot cup of coffee in the morning. A lot of people still want to drop off their laundry and pick it up. These are, we redefined what essential is, and these people who are typical, lower wage paying jobs, put themselves on the line every day, and it is. So we have to care. We have to take care of them, or your grocery store just won't be open.
It's another reason we need the housing for the people who work in those industries, because they're essential. We've already decided they're essential.
We did indeed, and we're needed.
We can't say, drive over the mountain to go find a place to live.
Yeah. Oh, you want groceries? Well, yeah, I heard there's one open over the next town over about 45 miles. Take a left at the Y, and you'll. No, you can't do that. You have to have those services. Those businesses have to have workers.
An employee with enough money to pay their expenses, that they have some cash in their pocket, spends it in town.
Yes. Yeah.
It hurts our economy twice that you have people suffering under such low wage issues and housing struggles, but then they also don't have money to spend to support the businesses, and it's a catch-22.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pay people enough that they can actually go shopping in the stores that are in the town. And then that supports the whole town, and it makes everybody's life better. Right. Well, Erin, you've decided to run. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about doing that same thing?
If you're thinking about it, start now, because it's a longer process than you can imagine to get everything ready to actually run. If you think you want to run next year, start today. In fact, you might even be a little behind. Start right away. And the way to start would be to reach out to your local Democratic committee or whichever party you feel most aligned with. Let them know you're interested. There are training and all kinds of resources online for candidates or people who are thinking about becoming candidates, and they have long range plan. They're like, let's start, and here's the training you can go through, these online modules, so that you can learn everything you need to do, set everything up. I did not have everything set up. I've been flying by the seat of my pants. Don't do what I did. Start early, commit, and get going, because that's the best way to do it.
So, the work that you're doing in running for office, we're proud of you, because that's what it takes to go from citizen to an official. It tells me that person has a desire, has looked around and seen something, and they want to make it better. And it seems to me, Erin, that's why you're running, and we couldn't be more proud of you for doing it.
Oh, I appreciate all the support you guys have offered. It's been, like I said, I need all the support I can get. Moral, financial, yes, but moral support especially. It means such a lot to me to have everybody's their confidence that people believe in me. That means a lot to me.
Well, y'all heard her then. Erin Trombley is running for town council in Morrow, New York. And you can see her official Act Blue account right down there, her Facebook link. Give Erin support, both financially and emotionally support, and let her know that you're behind her and are encouraging her to run, Erin, run. Erin, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being a blue dot, but more importantly, thank you for being a concerned citizen in your town and trying to make life better for everybody. Thank you so much, Erin.
Thank you.